So this is the second one of these I've done in 2 days. This time, it's over yet another somber subject, this one being September 11th. 24 years ago on September 11th, 2001. It's one of those days that anybody my age, anybody in my generation is going to remember exactly where they were when they saw what was going on in New York. I had just gotten done with morning strength and conditioning my sophomore year. We had a meet that was supposed to be going on that weekend in Bowling Green, which I was looking forward to because that was going to be up near my home. Parents, family, relatives, friends were all going to come out for it. It was going to be a good time. I was going to get to, show off my skills for people I hadn't seen in a while. Uh, so we had strength and conditioning that morning. Got through that, went home, took a shower. Got out of the shower, walked into our kitchen in Campus South, started hard boiling a couple eggs, and turned on the TV in the background. And it was just on every station. We didn't know what was going on at this point. The first tower had just been hit by a plane, and everybody in the media was at the time thinking, wow, this is just one of the worst aviation accidents that has ever happened. They were trying to figure out if something went wrong with the pilot, if something had gone wrong with the navigation. They were trying to figure out why this airplane had hit the tower. And I remember calling back to the back bedroom, seeing the tower just engulfed in flames. Half jokingly, I called out to my roommate Keith, like, hey man, it kind of looks like we're under some sort of attack. He came out, saw what was going on, and within 30 seconds, the second plane hit live on TV with everybody seeing and everybody looking at it. Here I am, 19 years old. I was going to be turning 20 in another month, in my second year of college, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think. Those hard-boiled eggs I put on ended up boiling over. I sat there in front of the TV as long as I could until it got to about 10:15, and I had to take off across campus to go to my biology class. Made it through that. I had a math lab afterwards, and around noon we got word that the university was going to be shutting down for the rest of the day. By then, we had heard about what was going on with the plane hitting the Pentagon, with the plane in Pennsylvania being forced down. And those of us that actually showed up to the math lab, we were just dumbfounded, just staring at each other. I don't think we did any of the problems we were supposed to be doing. And we just didn't know what to do. The university made the decision to cancel classes for the rest of the day, and then went on to cancel all activities, so sports practices, things like that. They then, days later, went on to cancel all athletic events, things like that, so didn't get to go travel up to Bowling Green to run in front of my family. But I remember that day. It's probably about 12:15. I'm just wandering the campus. There's not a whole lot of things going on. Just dead silence basically everywhere. There's a couple of other people that are just kind of out. And I ran into one of my teammates, Dave, who was at the time in Air Force ROTC. Just talked to him. It's like, what does any of this mean? What's going to happen? And I ended up going over to my coach's office because he was still there. Talked to Rich, and unbeknownst to him, I actually talked me out of just doing something rash. I was honestly planning on jumping on a bus, heading downtown to one of the recruitment offices, and I was all set to go enlist myself in the Air Force. But he talked me out of it without knowing. He just told me, don't don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything rash. Because you know what? By the time everything's said and done, it's going to be over. It's not like there's anything that you can do. Just sit back, pray, and just tell your family you love them. So I ended up going back home, and of course everybody was just glued to the TV that day for God knows how long. I think it was sometime around 8 o'clock. I ended up I got my turn on the phone. Called my dad, talked to him for about 40 minutes, and it was just, honestly, it was one of the worst days that anybody could ever imagine. We had lost nearly 3,000 people in the blink of an eye, and it's not something that anybody in my generation was ready for. So here we are 24 years later, and I don't know how much has actually changed. Things just keep spiraling. The day after, everybody was united. It didn't really matter who you were, what walk of life you were from, what your race, color, creed, any of that was. We were all Americans at that point. And, it didn't matter if you were a Democrat or a Republican. It didn't matter what your beliefs were. Our whole mindset was, we're going to find who was responsible for this, and we're going to do something about it. But again, here we are 24 years later, and we had what happened yesterday happen. And I don't know. It'd be nice if we could remember that for a day when we had one of the worst days that we've ever had as a nation, that we would be able to see eye to eye again. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to get back there, but I hope we find it. Because 24 years later, I still believe in this country. I still believe that this country does great things, and people in this country do great things. I don't want to see more partisan violence. I don't want to see more political violence. I kind of want to find out what is skittering in my kid's sandbox. But hopefully we get there. Hopefully we can get there as a society. Hopefully we can figure out what our differences are and get back to being Americans. It's not even two sides of the same coin. We're on the same side of the same coin. We got to figure that out.